Jeez, yeah, but not even remotely ready to do such a thing. Hilarious. Hilarious. Well, what a great time to say happy anniversary to the late show with David Letterman. Is this on? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? There we go. Hey, I've got my shirt on. Producer Mike has got his shirt on. It's a whole anniversary show. We are waiting on Tom Dreesen, who may or may not be here. He was booked to appear. He got his confirmation email. I sent him another one today, and then I haven't heard back. So right about now is when he usually would show up. So we'll see. But it is the anniversary of The Late Show with David Letterman, so we are going to be celebrating that. We're going to be talking quite a bit about cars because our date at the Marconi Auto Museum is coming up this weekend, this Saturday. There are a few tickets left. Please go get them. Go buy them while they're left here. There's more than that. That's more. There we go. Shit. Sorry about that. I don't know what I'm doing. By the way, if I didn't tell you already, my name's Jay Ryan. I know you don't care about that. But this is the Cars and Comedy Show, and I know you're going to care about that. We're doing it from the Late Night Playset here. We've got you on Instagram joining us along. Let's see. Zach Carroll, Valente507, Sean Bishop, hello. Uber Yo-Yo, John Deisty? Don Deisty. And most importantly, our producer up north, Canada Mike. What's happening, Canada Mike?
Life is good. I wouldn't say most importantly, but the fact that I'm a part of this at all is delightful. It's great to see you both.
Agreed. Take it away, Will. By the way, before Will takes it away, you have about 2 minutes, exactly 2 minutes, to go get a beverage or use the bathroom or do whatever you have to do while this extra long theme song plays. But if you want to just sit here and listen to it, it'll put you in a good mood. And we will be sitting at the desk when we return.
Kevin, you gonna buy a Beamer?
There it goes. Oh, geez. Well, the bubbles are on. Hey, everybody, welcome back. In the middle of all that, the front door buzzed, so I have a feeling our guest Tom Dreesen will be walking in any moment. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
There he is. Hi, Tom Dreesen. You have arrived. Take your time if you need a restroom break or just come in just like that.
Yeah.
You know where to go. Make yourself at home. Chisholm is here. He is here. He is.
Yes,
indeed.
sir.
Oh, it's hilarious. All right, this is going to be good. We are going to have fun tonight. All right. Tuesday, August 30th, everybody. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, if you couldn't tell by my shirt, Mike's shirt, or simply the fact that Tom Dreesen's here, it's the Late Show anniversary. Not quite 30. Next year's going to be a big one. But 29 years ago, I know that I was sitting on my living room rug like this, looking at the probably 19-inch television at the time, 25, whatever the size was, watching the premiere. What we put the card up in the beginning of the show, but watching this happen right here on this stuff where we're sitting, which is crazy pants. Crazy pants.
Yeah.
Mike, crazy pants.
It's crazy pants. It's delightful, and you're welcome, CBS. I mean, look at that. They got a franchise.
It's
29
Mike
years
Just
ago
Play
today,
Along
they got a
Chisholm.
franchise.
Oh, you're the best. I love it. I love it. And as he said eloquently, you're welcome, CBS. Worldwide Pants killed it. Killed it for a number of years for you. Happy anniversary to Dave and Company, as we say, and The Late Show. Now, it's not to be confused with the Letterman anniversaries of late night or how long he's been on TV or anything, but The Late Show itself, which was sort of the big hoopla, the first time there was something up against The Tonight Show that was really going to make a mark. This was the night. And man, do you remember how many viewers watched? I don't, but I remember it being a lot.
Was it in the 20 to 30 million range or something?
Yeah, I
like
was going to
that?
say
Like, it was a
30
crazy
million as
number.
well. It sounded crazy by today's standards, but back then I think it's right. Please come on in anytime you like. Welcome back, sir.
It's good to see you again.
It's
Yeah.
great to see you. How'd you shoot? It's your home course, isn't it?
The front nine I played like Ben Hogan,
Bring
and
that
the
over
back
to you.
nine like Hulk Hogan. So
I hope everybody heard that. He's laughing. They must have. Welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. And, you know, it's the anniversary of The Late Show we were just talking about.
and what anniversary is this?
29. It's the 29th anniversary of Letterman moving to CBS and the CBS show.
Oh, wow.
Premiered 29 years ago tonight.
So he was 3 years at NBC.
How many?
Well, he was 32 years on the air. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So if this is the 20th anniversary at CBS, he was 3 years at NBC, right?
I
Well,
think
he
it was
had-
more than that, but he's been off the air for a number of years, so we got to factor that in.
Oh, yeah,
somewhere.
he had been.
It was like
Oh.
11 and a half at NBC. I
Yeah,
think,
really.
yeah.
Well, yeah. When I think about it, what am I talking
This
about?
is all on your blue card for tonight. But first, the first thing we have to do is play How's the Weather Out There? You know how to do that?
No, go ahead. Tell me.
Okay.
How's the weather out there? I was going to say it was hotter now.
No, you tell me, Jay. It's Tom Just Play Along Dreesen. This is where we call Barbara Gaines on the phone. You remember Barbara Gaines?
From the Letterman show, yeah,
Of
sure.
course.
Yeah.
She now hosts her little YouTube show with Dave sometimes. And this is where they used to do a thing on the show that they would call How's the Weather Out There, where she would bring out the phone books and they would riffle and point to a number and call somebody randomly. We do the exact same thing, except every single time we call Barbara Gaines.
And does she answer every single time?
We leave a message. The voicemail picks up and we leave a message. Let's see. So for today, we have a guest player. This is so exciting. Mike, are you here with us, Mike?
So let me get
I,
this straight.
Could not be ripped away.
So let me get straight. For this has been going on for how long?
Since they started the YouTube show.
No, but I'm saying you've been calling Barbara Gaines for how long?
Since they started the YouTube show, a few months.
A few months. So
And we don't do it all the time. It's like
so
it's probably a third
Barbara
or fourth
Gaines
call.
has been pissed off at you all this time. Right? Now you want her pissed off at me. Sounds like fun.
We can only hope.
All right, so we'll pretend I've riffled and you've pointed.
Reach Barbara Gaines at the alleged Barbara Gaines show. Please leave a message.
Barbara, it's Jay, Nicole, and Mike in the playset, but we have a guest player this evening, Mr. Tom Dreesen. First of all, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary to The Late Show. But we really wanted to actually fact-check a story tonight because I was told recently that Dave got his ass kicked for stealing material once. Is this true? And if so, who with?
Well,
Give us a call back, Barbara.
she probably doesn't know that story unless she's gone on YouTube and found it. You know.
I have a feeling that these get reviewed with the man. And I have a feeling that one might get passed because of what you told us last time you were here.
He's mad at me that I didn't stick to it. He said, "No, stay with the story. Why did you have to put the capper to it? That it was all." I said, "It was all a joke." I said, "No, I don't want people to think that I beat the hell out of you." You know.
Yeah, that it was true.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Especially you knew some guys where it could have been true.
yeah. Now, for those who are just tuning in, you should probably explain what we're talking about.
Oh, for goodness
If they
sake!
didn't
First
catch
of
it.
all, you weren't here earlier, but we announced to everybody that you were going to be here tonight, so we're all excited to see you. So there's that. Tom Dreesen's here. But last time you were here, you told us a story about how you and David Letterman met. Is that what you?
Well, and what you're talking about is David called me, for those who didn't hear it the first time, I'll say it to you. David called me 7 months ago. He said, Tom, every time you do an interview or I do an interview and people ask how we met, we always tell the same story. That he said, I drove out to the West Coast. It was my first day out there. I was in my red pickup truck. I went to the Comedy Store. I saw a set of yours. And when you came off stage, I complimented your set. And we became friends since then. I said, yeah. He said, well, it's a boring story. I said, well, I don't know if it's boring or not. But I said, it's true. He said, I don't care if it's boring. From now on, tell people you came off stage at the Comedy Store. I was in the parking lot. I stole some material from you. And you beat the hell out of me in the parking lot. I said, now, why would I want to tell a story like that? He said, because it's a better story. I said, Dave, you got 32 million fans. They'll be chasing me through the airports and stuff. Anyhow, time goes by. A couple weeks go by. Dave calls me again. This time, on a serious note, he said, do you know the governor of Illinois? And I said, no, I met him, but I don't know him. And he said, well, he had something that he wanted to get done. His wife, Regina, had a friend or girlfriend who has a grown son who has autism, and they live in the Illinois area, Chicagoland area, and the autistic adults there plant corn, beans, corn, beans, tomatoes, and when it comes into fruition, they give it to the homeless. Well, the state is coming to take that property away. He said, I want to talk to the governor to try to stop that. I said, gee, I don't know him, but I know the Senate Majority Leader, John Cullerton. Let me call him. I called John, and John said, oh, Tom, that's all being taken care of. Tell Dave, don't worry about it, that statute, this, and something or else. I said, could I have Dave call you so you'd explain it better than I would do it? He said, yeah, sure. I said, oh, by the way, when Dave calls you and you tell him you're going to help him, tell him the reason you're helping him is because Dreesen beat the hell out of him in the parking lot at the Comedy Store. He said, okay, I'll do it, because he's a fun guy. 10 minutes go by and my phone rings and I knew it was Dave. I said hello. He said, didn't I tell you that's a better story? I told you that's a better story, you know.
But the guy knew it was a put on too, right?
Who, Cullerton?
Yeah.
Oh, Cullerton knew it was
He
a
knew
put
it was
on,
a put on, yeah. Oh,
but
God, that's
nonetheless,
so great.
you know, but he kept a straight face when he told him.
But I think this story is the best story of all of it. The story is that Dave wanted the better story out of it. I love it.
Yeah, that he wanted me to continue to say that he beat down, and he
Yeah.
would have admitted that. Yeah, Dreesen beat the hell out of me in a park. I said, I don't think I'd draw two people after that, you know. Oh, no,
Oh, because he's so beloved. Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't even put that together.
Well, I got to tell you, you can't be on the air as long as he was without. Who was it that said? Wayne Dyer once said, a motivation speaker who
love
you know,
Dr.
he wrote
Wayne
many
Dyer,
books.
yeah.
He said 50% of all the people you meet in your life aren't going to like you. They're not going to actively campaign against you or anything, but they're just not going to like you. 50% of the people that meet you. If that's being so, think of the millions of people that comedians have been in front of, or David, all those years. If 50% of those millions of people aren't going to like you, that's a lot of people that aren't going to like you, you know. So it might be that if they did believe I beat the hell out of them, I'd be drawing big crowds now. I'd be filling up arenas. You know? It's a thought.
It is a thought. How have you been, first of all? It hasn't been that long since you've been back, but thanks for coming back.
Oh, I'm glad to be back, you know, and I adore your wife, you know that.
That's
you
why
know.
you came back. I know that. Everybody really does.
I've been on the road. I've been traveling, doing my one-man show. I just got back from Atlantic City. I performed in Atlantic City. So I've been really busy. And in fact, I'm only home now for I just got home last night, and I'm home now for about a week, and then I take off again.
Yeah.
I'm going to Chicago to do my one-man show there.
I have
at the
that.
John Belushi Theater, yeah.
In Glen Ellen, Illinois, Saturday, September 10th.
Yeah. It's called The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh. And it's stand-up comedy, but it's also a lot of storytelling with pictures and video of Frank and I. It's really a fun show for me to do. You know?
You told the story last time of how you and Frank met, but I want to poke around a little. I want to poke around a lot this time, if that's all right.
Good, yeah.
I went down your IMDb and I forgot how many projects, of course, that I love that you're a part of. I just haven't seen these movies in years, and I forgot. Spaceballs.
Yeah. Spaceballs.
That's
did I
legendary.
Did
what
I tell
do
you?
you do on Space?
You'll remember.
Well, there was a scene. I'd love to tell you how I got the part. but
That's what I want to
okay.
know. How did it
But-
come to be?
But the scene that I was in, I was a guard, and I was shaving. and I had shaving cream all on my face. And the lead came in. I forgot his name, Bill or something. Anyhow, he came in, and I said, like, whatever the other guard's name was, that you, that you, Franco? And I turned around and said, wait a minute, you're not Franco. And I'm yelling, guards, guards. And his ring drew the can of shaving cream to his hand, and he sprayed it in my mouth as I'm yelling, guards, and I died. Now,
I
that guy.
remember
Yeah.
that scene.
but what I didn't know was, and they didn't know, Mel Brooks, they had left this can of, it was whipped cream inside the can for a long time, and it got kind of sour. So when he sprayed it in my mouth, I hit the floor, but the scene is still rolling, and I'm laying there going, "Bloop, bloop." And when Mel went, cut, I ran to the bathroom. I got my head in the toilet. Mel come in there, and he's going, Dreesen, are you all right? I said, Mel, what the hell was in that can? He went like this. He went, ooh. It was like sour
Rancid
milk.
milk, yeah.
And we had to do that scene a couple times over. Now,
Oh, with the same stuff? Of
no,
course.
not with the same
oh,
stuff. No.
jeez.
But how I got that, I got that role. I had just gotten divorced, and I was dating a girl, a friend of mine. Try to make this long story longer. But a friend of mine who played for the Chicago Bears, Tim Reitman, was a tight end for the Chicago Bears. He was going out with a girl named Trish, and I saw him. I said, "Oh, Tim, she's beautiful. That your new girlfriend." He said, "Do you want to go out with her?" I said, "Isn't she your girlfriend?" "No." I said, "She's a friend of mine. You want to go out? I'll fix you up." So it was our first date, and she was gorgeous. She was drop dead gorgeous, and a little bit taller than I am. So we go into. I'm performing at the Improvisation in Santa Monica in those days. Bud Friedman had an improvisation there. So I took her to dinner first. So we go in this restaurant, and we have to wait for your table. We go around the bar area, and she stands up, but I sat down at the bar, and she's standing up. And Mel Brooks was in the restaurant. I didn't know, and he saw her. Whoa. He walked all the way around the bar, and he's walking around, and he walks, and I'm sitting there, and I knew Mel. He said, Dreesen, how you doing? I said, oh, hey, Mel, how you doing? I said, this is a girl I'm going out with now. Her name is Trish. He said, hey, Dreesen, what are you doing Monday? I said, what do you want me to do Monday?
Good answer.
He said, well, I got a movie. I said, I'll do it. He said, wait a minute. He said, I didn't even tell you about it. I said, I don't care. I'll be a grip. I'll sweep the floor to be around Mel Brooks. Are you kidding me? I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. He said, there's a small part with a couple lines. I said, great, I'll do it. And I did, and it turned into 2-day shoot. Got $4,000 a day. That was $8,000. And that movie, I don't know how much I've made through the years. Now I'm getting checks for 83 cents.
Sure.
But and October something, 21st, they're having the movie Spaceballs being shown at the in Hollywood. What's the theater? The
Hollywood Forever Cemetery?
It was that or the Cinerama Dome or something.
No,
I saw
it's called. It starts with an M, I think. Oh darn!
But
Anyhow,
It's not Quentin's Theater, is it?
Say it again.
It's not Quentin's Theater, is it?
no. If you
Oh,
said the
New
name-
Art? A New Art Theater? No, I don't remember. This one, I think I know what Tom's talking about. I saw
it's
the
in
press
Hollywood,
release too.
and anyhow, so I'm going to MC. They're going to show the movie Spaceballs, and I'm going to MC and do Q&A and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is it an anniversary? Is that why they're putting it up?
It's
Yeah.
some kind of an anniversary of it, but it should be fun.
Well, we are of a generation that saw that movie before Star Wars. I mean, we were alive for Star Wars, but we found the comedy in it. So we saw Spaceballs before Star Wars. So when we finally saw Star Wars, we were like, who knew? Who knew? I thought this was just a hilarious comedy on its own. To me, that speaks to the material, that it was so good on its own that we didn't even realize it was referencing something else.
I got to believe you. I got to be honest with you. I never thought it was that good a film. Maybe because I wasn't a Star Wars buff, but I thought a lot of Son of Frankenstein, all these other things that Mel Brooks did.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles is the big one.
geez. But it was an okay movie, but it's got a huge following. To this day, I get people send me stuff, a billboard of Spaceballs. Would you sign it and all that stuff?
Why do you think that is? Do you think it was the Star Wars connection, or John Candy, of course, was in it, and he was pretty magical? I mean, folks like you were in it. All of the
But I
supporting
was in it
cast was
for
great.
if you blink your eye, you wouldn't see me in it. So it wasn't a big
But there's a
deal.
million others just like you that had the same kind of impact in that.
I don't know. I think it's the Star Wars
Star Wars. Yeah.
put on thing, but because that was is how to
It doesn't get bigger.
Yeah.
By the way, it hasn't gone away. It's still here today.
Some
kind of
I
quote.
like the opening. First of all, as a woman, that men can't handle directions. Men are the worst at handling directions. But I remember the opening was to go boldly where no man has ever gone. They were lost. That's
Oh, that's Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even better.
yeah. Oh, so that isn't the same thing. What am I thinking?
But they're all to me. It is all the same thing because I didn't get any of them. So when
You
you
bailed me out on
said
that.
reading directions, I thought instructions because the crawl of the first thing I can't get dun, 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 and the thing you got to read the whole story and I go, but I don't care already. You're going to make me read. Oh, geez. I'm going to bounce around here. I'm not going to go in order. Man on the Moon. I completely forgot, and I love that movie. I completely forgot until I looked up and saw who you were, and then I remembered the scene. Anything about that? How did you get that job? What was it like working for? It was Milos Forman, wasn't it?
Milos. I played myself in that movie.
Well-
Milos Forman came to the Improv one night, and I was on stage performing. When I came out, Bud Friedman said, "Milos Forman wants to talk to you." And I thought it was a comedian doing an impression of Milos Forman. I said, "Oh, this ought to be fun," But it was Milos Forman. He said, "I've got a small part, but I want you to play yourself." He knew I knew Andy, and he said, and he told me that they're making the film and that I would just be on stage being me, and Andy would follow me, And I said, yeah, because I knew Andy, and I liked Andy, and he was just a confused, brilliant, lost child, as so many are in stand-up comedy. We talked about this before. 85% of all stand-up comedians, in my humble opinion, that I've met are insecure, neurotic, sometimes psychotic, loved, starved wrecks, complete wrecks. And the other 15% are gifted, confident people who say, I know how to write a joke and I know how to tell one. And I like to think that I'm in the latter, but never trust somebody that tells you they're sane, So,
Right, yeah.
But
Let
Andy,
me prove to you I'm not crazy.
years ago, Elaine Boozer called me and she said, Tom, a friend of mine is coming out to California. By the way, first time I heard about him, Carl Reiner was casting me in a little small film that he had with his son Rob and Penny Marshall before Penny was on Happy Day.
Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne
Well, it was
and
both.
Shirley,
It was a spin-off.
But anyhow, and Rob was already on the first year of All in the Family or something. So he gave me a small role in there, Carl Reiner. But he said to me, Tom, have you ever heard of this guy, Andy Kaufman? At that time, I did not. He said, gee, I saw him in New York. And Carl started telling me what he did, his act. And I said, wow, sounds strange. Now, meanwhile, later on, Elaine Boozer calls me and said, Tom, my friend Andy Kaufman is coming to L.A. Would you befriend him? Because he's a very shy guy, and he doesn't know many people there. And I said, sure, and I did. I went to him, and I'm so extroverted, I forced myself on him, but I...
Oh, yeah, you told that story. That's right. Yeah.
Anyhow,
Go ahead.
I just liked Andy a lot. Anyhow, but he was so odd. He never thought of himself as a comedian. He always called himself a song and dance man, and he had these characters. Tony Clifton.
That's
and once he was that character, you could not call him Andy, and I didn't know those things. I one night came off of I went over to the Improv. I was going to do a set. I was getting ready to do the Tonight Show or something, and Andy was out in front with a tuxedo on, playing Tony Clifton, like the Matrix. Come on in here. All right, everybody, step to the side here. Step to the side. Hold on, we got one of the comedians. One of my friends from Chicago. Come in here. And but I didn't know at that time you don't call Andy Andy, right? And I'm going, what the hell's he doing? He's got this tuxedo on, in a toupee. He goes on stage and he's emceeing, but he's also doing Tony Clifton. So he did a bunch of crazy stuff.
With the full makeup and the whole thing, right? Okay.
So now I go on stage, and instead of me saying, me not knowing that, I said, hey, how about Andy Kaufman? Wasn't he great or something? Now, after I do my set, Bud Friedman comes up and he said, damn it, Tommy, damn it. He said, Andy went home. I said, what? He said, he went home because you called him Andy. I said, what am I supposed to call him? Bud Friedman, isn't his name Andy Kaufman? He said, but when he's Tony Clifton, he doesn't
Never
want to be
break
called. I
the
said, well,
character.
you got to give me the rules. Now, that's one story. As time goes by, I get to like him a lot. One night, I go into if you remember his act, we didn't talk about this before, did we?
No, but I'm a fan as well.
Tony, when he played Tony Clifton, all he ever wanted was to get a reaction from the audience. There's an old saying in show business that the worst thing that could ever happen to an actor or a performer is the audience feels nothing. He felt whether they love me or hate me, I moved them.
Good.
And so his character, Tony Clifton, he would do this character, a lounge act, and I don't really need this job here. And he's doing all that, and people would say, well, geez, he's kind of rude. Then he'd say, and that was with the broads last night. I got 3 or 4 broads and these chicks. And pretty soon, a girl in the audience who was his shill, she'd say, excuse me, I don't like what you're saying. You said, lady, please, I'm trying to do my show. Sit down, will you? And she'd say, no, I don't like the way you're talking about women. And pretty soon other women in the audience say, I don't like the way he's talking about women either. So he's going, oh, look at this, I got a heckler. You're going to heckle me? All the years I worked in Vegas in the lounges, and he's this character.
Yeah.
He said, watch this. He said, watch this. Hey, lady, why don't you go home and iron shirts or something like that, huh? He said, how about that? I told her. Now, the people, woo. And now she's saying, no, you're very rude about women. He said, watch this. Hey, why don't you go home and have a baby or something like that? Now they're going, woo. Now the people are hating him. She comes up on stage, and for some reason, he had like a can of shaving cream for some bit he was doing. So she said, and he said, look, she wants to fight me. You believe that she's going to fight me, huh, lady? Come on, lady, you want to fight, huh? So he's acting like, and people are going, oh, my God, I hope. And, he goes, come on. And he gives her a stage slap. Pow. And it sounds like he cracks her. So people go, oh. Now, she then knocks him down, beats the hell out of him, stomps him, punches him in the face. She gets that kind of shaving cream. She puts it all in his face. She bangs his head on the floor. Now the audience is cheering, all that. Now that was part of the bit, right? Now I come in improv one night, and I'm looking for Bud, and Tony Clifton is on. And I'm trying to talk to Bud. Next to us, while I'm talking to Bud, is a guy who's a real Tony Clifton. He's got a couple women with him, and the guy's going, hey, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Look at this guy. He's picking on dames. Boy, what a punk this is. He said, when I come in here normally, they have good shows, good shows in here. This guy's a jerk. So I say to the guy, sir, this is an act. He said, it's an act? Well, it's a bad act, I'll tell you that. Now, me and Bud look at each other, we grin. Now the guy said, look at this. Look at this. He's going to pick on her. I'll tell you one thing. He lays one hand on her. I'm breaking every bone in his body. Now I say to the guy, hey, sir, just then Andy slaps her, stage slap. She hits the floor. This guy leaps up. This guy jumps up, and he's going toward the stage now to beat hell. And me and Bud get up, and I try to hold the guy back. I try to grab, and we all fall on the floor. All three. Boom! I'm holding. We all. And by the way, I skinned my elbow and my knee on that concrete floor. And boom! Now, meanwhile, we're holding on to the guy because he's going to. Now, when she starts beating up Andy, the guy's saying, "Look at this! She's beating the shit out of him. God bless you, baby. Kill him. Anyhow, all of that being said. The next day, Andy Kaufman comes in. And I say to Andy Kaufman, Andy, you should have been here last night. Tony almost got the shit beat out of him. He said, what are you talking about? And I told him the story. I'm telling you, he almost was orgasmic. He said, really?
Best news ever.
Yeah, because that's what he was about, getting that kind of reaction.
Just some kind of extreme. Didn't matter what the poll.
He was a beautiful, wonderful guy. In New York, the story in New York, he was at Carnegie Hall. And he's doing his act, and doing his act and everything. And now he had a band there and he was doing Gene Autry song. I'm back in the saddle again. He used to do this corny stuff, right? Now he's doing it. I'm back in the saddle again. Out where a friend is a friend. He goes, wait a minute. Stop the band. There's a lady here. Lady, I sing a song, not you. And I said, how old are you? You're 86? And you think you're a singer? Well, would you like to sing at Carnegie Hall? And I go, oh. So, all right, since you want to sing. He brings this old lady up on stage, and he got that evil look in his eye. And he looks at the band, and he goes, come on, lady, sing. He goes, I'm back in the saddle. Now, she's trying to sing, but he's picking up the tempo. I'm back in the saddle again. She's going, oh, where a friend is a friend. Where the longhorn gallows. No, she's going, I'm back in the saddle. And boom, she falls over on the stage. People, oh, my God, she had a heart attack. Now all of a sudden, but get some and the paramedics come from backstage. They're on stage, and he got this thing that, like, they're hitting her in the chest. Her legs are kicking up in the air.
Of course.
The curtain comes down, and people are, oh, my God. Moments later, the curtain comes up, and her and Andy are dancing around the stage.
Put on.
All a put on. However, the New York Times gave him a review the next day called "The Son of Sam of Comedy." If you remember, the Son of Sam was the guy,
Long
the murder,
Island, David Berkowitz.
David, yeah, they called it Andy, but he
was a serial killer.
Serial killer. They call him the Son of Sam of Comedy, but but he loved that kind of stuff.
Oh, God.
So all of that's a long story about
So,
Andy.
so he considers all of those put-ons and happenings. That's his art. He wasn't a stand-up comedian. He would orchestrate those moments for people to then feel one way or the other.
And he
about
got laughs, though. I mean, once you became a fan of his, then all those characters, you wanted to see those characters. The guy who played the Congos. And once you saw the genius of him. He was a sweet guy. He was on a show called Fridays, and the whole bit was that he's a Jewish kid who's in love with a Catholic girl on the show. So there was a lot of confrontation. And I said to him one night, I said, Andy, you know what you should do? You should have a wedding like Tiny Tim years ago got married on the Johnny Carson show.
1969, I remember that, of course.
And huge, millions of people
Miss
watching.
Vicky.
Miss Vicky, yeah. So I said, you should marry the Catholic girl on the air.
Oh,
mock
oh.
wedding. But
Talk about polarizing.
now you have your Jewish family come, actors, and have her Catholic family come, and they're both against this whole marriage, but they're trying to behave themselves. But then when they get to the part, if there be anyone here who see why this marriage should not take place, please step forward, and have her mother start sobbing. I wish you would. I wish you would do it. And I said, you as the groom, you walk over and you give her a slap. You slap her mother. Pow! Well, when you do that, somebody comes out and grabs you. And then a whole Donnybrook. Everybody's fighting. The Jews and the
Melee,
Catholics are fighting.
yeah.
Yeah. I said, a Donnybrook, and he said to me, "What's a Donnybrook?" I said, a Donnybrook is like when you see baseball teams, both benches.
Oh, I didn't know either. Okay.
It's an Irish term.
We're learning.
When both benches, come out and fight each other.
Yeah.
That's a Donnybrook. I said, you should do it. He said to me, like comedians say, he said, are you going to use that? I said, no, I'm not going to. That isn't my act. But he was going to do it, and somehow the show turned it down. But anyhow, that's a long story about Andy Kaufman.
No, I love it. I love it. But you weren't, because you're not listed as Tom Drusen. You're listed as wise guy comic or something like that.
Yeah. That's
But
what-
basically, Milos saw you, said that's the guy for my movie, and then you went and did your material in the movie.
But I'm going to tell you something else about that show. Jim Carrey was backstage. It was one of the most moving things I've ever seen in my life. Jim Carrey was talking to me. He said, Tom, I want to do this film because of, Andy and blah, blah, blah. Out of respect for Andy. I said, yeah. And we were getting made up. And I went out and I did my scene. And then I walked off, and now Jim Carrey's coming out as Andy. And when he walked out on that stage, the hair on the back of my neck, the chill, he was Andy Kaufman. Bud Friedman, who discovered Andy Kaufman and loved Andy Kaufman, after the scene, and when they went, when Jimmy came out, I swear to God, it was like Andy was reborn. He was Andy Kaufman. When it was over, I had chills all over me. I went up to Bud, and Bud was choked up his tear, and he went like this. He didn't want me to talk. I said, I started to say something, but it was the greatest portrayal of Andy that you could possibly do. Jim Carrey became Andy Kaufman. He was incredible.
Did you see the documentary, the Netflix Jim and Andy, I think they call, where it's the behind the scenes of that
No, I
movie?
did not.
It's remarkable for all the reasons you're saying. They cover the fact that somehow Andy Kaufman came back to do that movie through Jim Carrey.
If you've ever,
You're not the only one who feels that way.
I got to tell you, if you've ever, in my lifetime, and I'm an old guy now, in my years in the service and all that stuff, I know a lot of people who died. I've seen a lot of deaths in my life, that the thought that you said, gee, I wish I could see them again. You know what I mean? A friend, but gee, I wish I could see them again. When Andy walked out, I saw him again. It was, even when I'm telling you right now, I'm moved by telling you this story.
Yeah.
Because Jim Carrey was so incredible. It was a sight to see.
You saw your friend again. Your soul knows.
Yeah,
you know if you connected.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
really interesting, yeah.
Oh, good for you. Wow.
Can I throw out a couple Andy Kaufman factoids?
Yeah, please jump in here, buddy.
Just with the last couple days, Gerard Mulligan told me a story about Andy Kaufman, and remember how he used to wrestle women? Well, one night, one of the women that he wrestled was Meryl Marco.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So there's one. And the other one, Steve Young and I were talking about some of the different bits and performance art pieces that were out there. And the idea of, he read once, and they did a little bit of a play on it on Late Show, where Andy sang 99 bottles of beer on the wall with the entire audience. And there's this journey that the audience goes on to realize at about 92, 93 bottles that Andy's going to do the whole thing. And then they start turning on him. But then by the time you get into the 30s and it's going down, the audience starts to pick up momentum going, oh, this is going to be really, really cool.
They're joining the insanity.
Yeah. And by the time you get to one, everybody is just in hysterics and having a lovely time. So those are two Andy Kaufman stories that popped up in the last couple of days.
I love it.
Through
Must
our
be
world
something in
too.
the air.
Yeah.
Bouncing around, because that's what I said we'd do. These are the shows of my youth. You did an episode of Columbo? I
Yeah.
need to go back and watch because I used to love that show. I watched it with my
Yeah,
dad on Sunday afternoons. Love Columbo.
I played a talk show host that was interviewing a lady author, and I don't remember. There was a guy at Universal, John Epstein, who was a real big fan of mine. He he cast me in Murder, She Wrote twice, and then Columbo, and just was a big fan of mine, and a nice guy, real nice guy. He passed away a long time ago as well.
Well, the talk show host, I could see no problem. But what on earth were you doing in Cabot Cove, Maine, with Angela Lansbury on Murder She Wrote?
One time I did two different one. I was a cab driver that took her to the airport,
Okay.
and I said to the director, I said, "Could I wear my Cub hat, my Chicago Cubs hat?" He said, "Tom, you're taking her to Santa Anita." I said, "I know, but I'm a Chicago guy who moved out to California. I'm a cab driver."
That's why you're a cab driver.
And he said, "Yeah." But the interesting thing, when you work with brilliant actors or actresses, I mean, you know right away you're in really tall cotton here. Angela Lansbury, before I even met her, she had read the scene we're going to do, and she said to me, "I'm driving her to the airport, and I'm a chatty cab driver, blah, 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 blah." And she said, "Tom, once we get out of the cab, I'm trying to get away from you, but you're holding me from get away from you, not by physically, but with your words. You won't let me get away." I said, "Boy, did you cast the right guy for this one." And so that's what I was talking about, blah, 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 and hot tips and blah, blah, blah. And she, even though we had a director, she directed that scene.
No kidding.
She called it. She knew exactly what that scene required. And when you work with pros like that, if you bring up Trouble with the Curve, it was the same thing with Clint Eastwood. When you work with a pro,
Yes.
you really know it.
Both of those people, I mean, gosh, Angela Lansbury, I remember when she was young and really quite beautiful.
How about in The Manchurian Candidate with Frank Sinatra? She's a brilliant actress.
Oh, with your
Broadway
friend,
actress,
of course.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
she was a brilliant actress. Again, to have in my lifetime to have the opportunity to do a scene with somebody that I admire so much, that's and I'm a stand-up comedian first, last, and always. But acting is kind of intriguing. I've always wanted to stretch out a little bit more. In my 90-minute show, I've always, I think I told you this last time, I've always thought a good comedian could make you laugh for an hour and a half, but a great comedian can make you laugh and cry in that hour and a half. And I told you that story before. I've only seen two comedians do that in my lifetime, Red Skelton and Richard Pryor. And I do, in my one-man show, I do that. I have them laughing, but I take them to Frank's funeral, and there's some real touching moments in it. But I close with a funny monologue and bring them out of that.
Of course, yeah. But that must be an interesting ride for them to go on, for the audience to go on with you.
For
I would think.
For me, I appreciate that. The reviews say that all the time. But for me, for a comedian, all your show business career, you're looking for them laughs, and you build, and now you got them caught up in your rhythm, and you take them home right here, and you walk off all and now when you do this one-man show, you take them to a place where tears. You've had them laughing. Now you take them to tears, and to turn that around and get them back laughing again, that's a real challenge.
90 minutes, you said? The show?
90 minutes.
Yeah, man, that must be great. And then the musical, there's musical elements as well?
No.
Or is it just you talking?
It's just me, and I've done that show 2 hours some nights. Some nights you get a real huge crowd that is really into it, and so the reaction is longer,
Oh, my goodness, of course.
Yeah.
Not that you're going into more detail. The show becomes longer because they're loving it.
Yeah, but also because when I'm on stage, and you're going, sometimes you're caught up in a stream of conscious, something comes out of my subconscious mind that takes me to another place, And, my acting teacher in Chicago used to say, don't be afraid to risk. Don't be afraid to risk in a scene sometimes, and it's easier to risk when you're out there alone than if you and I are doing a scene. I can't risk and throw you off, But if you got a real good actor or actress with you, you can,
Go out there on a limb.
Yeah.
The great unknown. You're a stand-up comedian. You're always prepared with years' worth of material. But do you ever just feel like an audience is ready for you to just wing it, or how do you try out new material? What is your process? Not to switch gears, but
well, if you're going to try out new material, you go out with solid material, and then in the middle, that's when you break in your new material.
I got them warmed up.
Yeah, and then you take them home. Woody Allen used to say, "Don't," and I tell young comics this all the time, "Don't break in new material on a Monday night in front of 14 people. break in your new material Saturday night in the middle of the show when you got a hot audience. Now you know whether that's good material or not. You might get hardly any laughs at all in front of a little tiny audience and cast that material away. Give that material a chance. If you think it's funny and you wrote it to be funny, then put it in when you got a hot audience and you'll get a better test to it.
Man, that's experience, or did you know that from intuition? You had to figure it out over the years.
Well, through the years, I mean, we're 1,000 mistakes. There are,
Yes, thank God.
I'm going to tell you a quote, and you'll probably know who I'm saying right away. This guy said, "I've missed over 9,000 shots. I lost 300 games. I was called on to score the winning shot 26 times, and I didn't." He said, and that's why I'm a success. Michael Jordan.
Wow.
That's why he said because I failed my way to success, and that's what we do as stand-up comedians. We failed our way to success. If you got the coyones to hang in there, what would be the female version?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying, that's a good word. But that's sometimes they'll tell me, "Will you go see a new comedian and give me your critique on my niece or my nephew?" And I'll go watch it. It's a Monday night in front of like 18 people, and the people in the audience are comedians trying to get on, so they're not going to laugh much. I'll watch them, and they'll go into the tank. They'll bomb. And they'll come and say to me, "What'd you think of her? What'd you think of him?" I said, "I'll come back next week, see if she's here. If I come back next week and she's on again, I said, she's going to be okay."
Wow.
Because that's what it's about. Never be afraid to fail.
And get back on the horse. I mean, that's a great lessons. You were here last time. You were so inspiring. So I'm glad we're working a little bit of that in again. I don't know if you realize that or not. I mean, you talk about being just about laughs, but you really are very inspiring in the way that you talk and the way you tell your stories. And
I never really wanted to be, and you're going to think this is bullshit, but I never really wanted to be a star. I never thought about being a star. I wanted to influence people.
Yeah.
With my material or in my life, to influence people, to influence people to the good, to help people along their struggle, to motivate people to try to be all they can be. That pleases me a lot. And in comedy, you can do that as well, But that's what,
it's tougher. It's tougher to do it through comedy. But you're sort of backdooring it in.
I give motivation talks, as I told you last time, on 4 subjects: perception, visualization, self-talk, and develop a sense of humor. And I elaborate on those points, each point. For comedians, I give a special one called The Joy of Stand-Up Comedy and How to Get There. Because so it's motivating them through the tough times of stand-up comedy and to enjoy this journey. You're in the greatest profession on the planet. Enjoy it. But most do not enjoy it. They grind and they grieve and they moan and they groan and they cry and complain. And I started out with Mike, and he's further, and Tommy's doing this, and not enjoying this wonderful journey we're on.
You're missing the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you always have that though? Because I know I know where you came from, and I know what your family was like. And did you always have that in you, or did that develop over time? And did you harden with that softness?
It developed over time, but you know what? I always had it, but I didn't realize it. I always enjoyed helping other people. I just enjoy, because I had 8 brothers and sisters. We lived in a shack. You know the story.
You already knew it felt good to help other people.
It felt good when other people helped us. When we were poor, living in that shack, and people would try to help you. How good it made me feel when I could repay that somehow.
Yes. That's interesting. Oh gosh. I love when you're here because I really learn a lot about being a person. Rat Pack movie. That must have been fun for you just because of the personal connection.
Yeah. And also, they also wanted me to be a consultant. Frank, Sammy, and Dean used to do routines, and I helped them. Joe Mantegna, who's a good buddy of mine, played Dean Martin. Don Cheadle, who played Sammy Davis Jr., and Ray Liotta, who played Frank Sinatra. Ray hung out with me for like 4 weeks. He would come off and on. We'd go to dinner together. He'd come over the condo and just talk to me. He was going to play Frank Sinatra, and he was asking me all kinds of questions about Frank, And I told him, I said, Ray, he's a great actor. I said, Ray, I've seen you act. You could play the anger and the rage of Frank Sinatra, but could you be as vulnerable as Frank Sinatra was? He said, I said, Frank Sinatra was vulnerable in a song. When he sang a song, you felt everything about the heartache of that. I said, he's a very sensitive man That other was a front sometimes, it'd be like a tough guy, but down deep he was a very sensitive soul. So that was fun. And then, but I taught.
Well, how did he respond to that, though? I mean,
he listened.
Was that as did he take it as a note of, oh, I
Yeah.
should work on that?
I think so. I got, for me, it would be so hard for somebody to really play Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was an anomaly.
Yeah.
There was arguably the greatest career show business has ever known. Forget about he's the greatest pop singer of all time, and that's not even subjective, even though people think it is. But this guy, Steve Lawrence, who's a brilliant singer, once said to Frank Sinatra, you ruined it for all the rest of us. Because once they heard you sing a song, they knew how the song is supposed to be sung. Charlton Heston said to watch Frank Sinatra sing a song is like watching a 4-minute movie. But forget about all that. Forget about that. What about he won the Academy Award as an actor?
Yeah.
What about the fact he danced with Gene Kelly in film? All these things.
The talent was immense.
It was incredible. And he transcended, as Michael Jordan transcended basketball, Frank Sinatra transcended our business. He was larger than life, Then everybody wanted to know, was he in the mob? He was just, so for somebody to play him, wow, there were a lot of different colors to Frank Sinatra too when you got to know him. But
I always figured they chose Ray Liotta because we were prepped to accept him for that mob sort of persona. Because he had just done Goodfellas. This was only a few years after that, if I recall.
It could be, yeah. It could be. And then I was a consultant on it, and then I got The Movie Opens with me on, and then I even helped him with a scene when I walked off the stage. I never did this, and never with Frank. Whenever working with Frank, whenever I finished my show in Vegas, Tahoe, Reno, Atlantic City, not in the arenas, but when I left the stage, Frank crisscrossed me. When I said, good night, everybody, you've been a great audience, and as I was exiting stage right, Frank was entering. So we crisscrossed. And then Frank would get to center stage and call me back for another bow.
Oh.
Tommy come back and take another bow, and I'd take a half bow and wave at him. But in the movie, they didn't want to do that.
Oh.
So I said, I got an idea. As we're crisscrossing, as I leave, I'll kneel down and like kiss the ring.
Oh.
And Ray and the director said, yeah, that's a good idea. So then, and I said, Frank would go like this. He'd get out of here. He'd react. And so that's what Ray did in the scene.
Oh, that's great. A great workaround, but you wouldn't know to do that if you didn't know from personal experience.
No question about it.
Oh, so cool. This one's a little departure. Baywatch Nights. Now that was like a one-season thing. I remember they were a detective agency or whatever. Is that what I'm? Is that right?
No, out in Baywatch, it was a guy, a Viking, was frozen for thousands of years, frozen or something like that, or hundreds of years, thousands or whatever.
Whatever.
And they had him in the shipyard, and he became, for some reason, they brought him out of this. They had some scientists, and he came to with a big sword and everything. Now he's walking the dock, And me and Johnny Dark, a good buddy of mine, a comedian buddy of mine, we played two dock hands, And,
So you're both in that. Oh,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I follow him too. Johnny Dark sings.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right.
Johnny and I.
That's
we did this thing
hilarious.
together, yeah.
I got to find a clip of this because it sounds
Yeah.
hilarious.
It
to
was,
me.
in fact, I actually, I was proud of that scene because when he came at me with the knife, you really felt that I was scared, and I felt like I really got deep into that role, But it was no big deal. But,
That's hilarious. All right, your buddy Dave, just because of the anniversary today, and because of our buddy Mike over here doing the Letterman podcast, killing it with the Letterman podcast, by the way. The guests from the show have been amazing. You have known Dave so long. I'd love to go back to a couple different points and see what your memories were at the time. Back to the Comedy Store strike in the I guess it would have been the 70s.
79, I think it was 78 or 79. Yeah.
How did that whole thing? Were you part of the resolution? Were you there for that? How did that all work out?
I didn't I tell you this story last time? If not, it bears repeating.
Yeah.
But I was one of the first ones to launch of our class. David Jay Leno, David Letterman, me, Robin Williams, Gallagher. I got the Tonight Show, and after struggling for a while, I was the first one to do the Tonight Show, and boom! The next day, my whole life changed. I told you this before, but I had a wife and 3 kids, and I could hardly make rent money. And I lived in Van Nuys, and my rent was $225 a month, and I could hardly make rent money. my first appearance on the Tonight Show, I got bumped 3 times. I got on the 4th time, you know.
Right.
And that night was a hot crowd. I had got 8 applause. When I finished my last line, I went back through the curtain. Johnny called me back out for another bow. And I never have stopped working from that day. I did 61 appearances on the Tonight Show, but now I'm on my way. I'm doing Dinah Shore, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Johnny Carson, Midnight Special, Rock Concert, Soul Train, American Bandstand. I'm the only white comedian to ever do Soul Train, you know, because I had an album out in front of an all-black audience called That White Boy Is Crazy, you know.
That's right. Yes.
But anyhow, so now I'm you know, jumping all over the place, and I come back. I go, Sammy Davis Jr. takes me on the road. I'm touring with Sammy Davis. I'm in Vegas, you know, got all kinds of gigs coming up with Sammy, and I come back off the road, and I'm going to break in some new material at the Comedy Store. And at that time, they didn't pay. They had the original room, and they had the main room. But the main room had 400 and something seats. Mitzi would let Jackie Mason work there. He got the door. If they charged $20 at the door, he got the door. She got the drinks and the food. If they had Buddy Rich actually played there one time. Buddy Rich, the drummer, he got the door. Whatever he charged at the door, she got the drink. Jackie Mason, Rodney Dangerfield, whatever artists worked there got the door. I come off the road one time, and I was scheduled to get up and try out some new material for the Tonight Show, and I go into the original room, and they said, "Oh, Tom, you're on the main room." I said, "The main room?" I go over to the main room, and there's David Letterman, Jay Leno, Elaine Boozler, Robin Williams, me. We're on the show. I said, "Oh, wow." I'm not thinking. I go on stage, and it's packed. I'm thinking, wow, this is almost like back in Vegas here, you know. So I try my new material, not thinking. We go over to the Cantors afterward where all the comedians hung out, and all the comedians sitting there talking, and in comes Jay Leno. He said, "Hey, this is bullshit." So he said, "Hey, she pays those other guys the door. Maybe it took 5 of us to fill the room, but we still filled the room. We should get paid." Well, I'm making money in them days. I'm making 6 figures now.
Right.
Man, I'm on my way. But I listen. They're my friends. So I listen to them, and they're talking. And they just said, "We're going to have a meeting." So I go to the meeting. About 4 or 5 days later, they had a meeting. And you ever been in a room with 100 comedians all talking at the same time? You couldn't get anything. And they were chaotic. And so the only thing they decided at that meeting was to have another meeting. So now I go to the next meeting, and it's chaotic again. But I had been in the JCs, as I told you last time, in the Junior Chamber of Commerce, and I knew Robert's Rules of Order, and I knew how to conduct a meeting. So I finally calmed them down. I said, let me conduct a meeting.
Getting everybody.
Exactly. And I got them organized. And once you got them organized, they were a force to be reckoned with. Got them form a committee, you know, subcommittees. Hold on, Jay. You know, Gallagher's got the floor. Hold on, you know, make your point. Put it in the form of a motion. Anyhow, once I got organized, they were a force to be reckoned with. However, I had a great relationship with Mitzi. I liked Mitzi, and Mitzi liked me. And so I thought, I'll go talk to her, you know. But it was like talking to the wall, because she was not going to pay the comedians under no circumstances. And so every time I'd go back and relay to the comedians what she said. They would come up with some other ideas. I'd go back and relay to Mitzi. Anyhow, one night I'm laying in bed with my wife, and I leaped up. And I said, "Oh, my God, I got it. Why didn't I think of this? I scared the hell out of my ex-wife." She said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I got it. Why didn't I think of this?" I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. I get there in the morning. I'm waiting in her office like this. She comes in. I said, "Mitzi, I got it. You're charging $5 at the door. Charge $6. Let the comedians have that $1. If 200 people come in, the comedians for the night share $200. If you 400, you know, $400, whatever it is, won't cost you a dime."
Right.
She said, "No, they don't deserve to be paid. This is
It's a principle.
a school, and this and what." And I'm saying, Mitzi, you know, she said, "People come here because it's the Comedy Store." I said, "You pay the waiters, you pay the waitresses, you pay the bartenders, you pay the parking lot attendant, you pay the guy who cleans the toilets. Why wouldn't you pay the comedians?" Now, this is a learning. Anyhow, I could not get her to budge off of that. So anyhow, when I left her that day, I was numb, because I thought it was about money. It was about control. You know?
Right.
But anyhow, you know.
It's crazy. You think, "Oh, I've solved the problem. I've got it. This works for everyone."
It went on for almost 8 weeks. They went on strike. I did not want the comedians to go on strike. I called Sammy Davis. See, I have a problem. All my life, I was a little guy. I got in a lot of fights when I was growing up. There's nothing I'm proud of. I had my nose broke twice, so I couldn't be that tough, right? But I was I was a street kid. I boxed when I was in the Navy, you know. But once I get into a fight, I want to win. When I played basketball, football, baseball, once the game started, I wanted to win.
That's how you broke your nose. You didn't back down.
Yeah, well, it's true. You know, there was a black guy in my neighborhood, Tutu Brackens. He once told somebody, he said, "I don't want to fight Dreesen. I could whip him. I'll whip him every day. He said, but he's going to come back the next day. And I'll whip him again. He said, he's going to come back the next day. He said, pretty soon, I don't want to fight him anymore because he won't quit. And that's kind of my mentality. So now when this fight started, this strike, I called Sammy Davis, said, Sammy, I'm in the middle of something I don't want to get out of. He said, I understand, Tommy, you're doing the right thing.
Oh,
Don't
because
worry
you're
about-"
supposed to be on the road with
Oh,
him.
yeah. I turned down $50,000 worth of work in those days. I had several gigs with him in those days. And so, but he understood. I said, I can't give up now. I got to, and we dug in, and it lasted for 8 weeks. And it finally ended one night. I had to speak before Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. There was a big dinner, and they invited Mitzi to send her representation and for our side. So I went with Joanne Astro and Mark Lanau, who were also involved in the strike, and she sent Biff Maynard and Danny Mora to her side of it. So we went back and forth, and it was Biff Maynard got up and said some dumb things. He's talking in front of all he's talking in front of all Screen Actors Guild actors, and he said, artists don't need to be paid. Comedians are artists, and we don't need to be paid. He's talking to a room full of artists. I looked around, and they were looking at each other.
Good luck getting this crowd on your side.
Yeah, and then during the strike, after 4 weeks into the strike, Mitzi offered to pay $25 a set in the main room, not in the original room.
Okay.
So I took it back to the comedians. They said, no, anywhere she charges a door charge, we should get something of it. So what she started doing was paying those who crossed the picket line $25 a set on Friday and Saturday. She wouldn't pay it, and that was part of the thing. So now,
But to be a scab, you would get paid
Yeah.
if you were to willing. Okay.
so I say, when it's my turn to come up, I said, this gentleman just told you that artists shouldn't even be paid. I don't know how you artists feel about that, but as an artist, I don't like that. And they applauded, right? I said, the other thing, let me tell you, we've walked this picket line for 8 weeks now. I said, I told them about the compromise, that she's now, because of us walking the picket line, is paying $25 a set on weekends only in the main room. I said, you know what he did last weekend on Friday and Saturday? He went up on stage and he made $50. You know what he did with that $50? He put gas in his car tonight, and he had something to eat. And he put gas in his car to come over here and tell you not to pay us. And it got like a standing ovation. So anyhow, here's what happens. Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA said, we're going to put a full-page ad out in Variety and in the Hollywood Reporter to ask all the actors and actresses in Hollywood, not the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, not to support, not to go in there while you are fighting for pay, right? So Biff knows this. He's going back to the Comedy Store. I go back to the Comedy Store, and they're all out in front of the Comedy Store, all the comedians, and they're walking, and Mitzi had gotten an injunction that we couldn't walk in the driveway alongside the Comedy Store. And she was right, because we were blocking traffic.
Right.
So I would always keep the comedians out of that driveway. As I'm there, Jay Leno's there, and they're saying, what happened? What happened? I'm telling them, hey, they're going to take a full-page ad out. This really looks good. Just then I see Biff Maynard on Sunset Boulevard, facing east, racing his engine, vroom, 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 waiting for the traffic to go by to pull in that driveway. And he's racing it, vroom, vroom. And I see the comedians in the driveway say, hey, get out. And just then I hear tires speed, and boom. He goes to the back, and I look, and Jay Leno's on the ground. And all the comedians said, he hit Jay Leno, Jay's laying there. Oh, my God. And I said, somebody get in. We didn't have cell phones.
Right.
Get an ambulance. Somebody get an ambulance, Then somebody ran next door to call an ambulance. And Jay's laying there. And at this time, I think I told you this last time, I've had it. I'm fed up with all this bullshit for something so stupid like paying the comedians, giving an extra $1 at the door. In my mind, when Biff Maynard comes up, I'm going to knock him out. I'm gonna hit him with everything I got.
Past your limit.
I tell you, I was trembling. I was so angry because I thought he killed Jay Leno. I kneeled down with Jay. I said, Jay, and I look at Jay's there, and he opens one eye and he winks. And I said, you son of a bitch, you're all right. And he's winking, and he's laying there, Meanwhile, Biff's coming out of there, everybody's screaming at him. I didn't mean it. What Jay did was, Biff didn't hit him. What Jay did, when the car went by, Jay slammed his hand on the side of the car, and it sounded like he hit him, and he hit the ground.
Just like that stage slap you talked about.
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly.
Yeah.
But he hit the side of the car. Now ambulance come, and Jay doesn't want to go in the ambulance, but the paramedics they can't release him now. Only the hospital can release him.
Oh, for God's
so
sake! Look what you started.
Yeah, they hauled Jay away. Woo, woo, sirens and everything. And anyhow, 2 minutes later, I think it was Argus Hamilton came on. He said, Mitzi wants to talk to you. I went inside. She said, let's settle this right now. and I got our lawyer Kenny Browning, who Dave Letterman had fixed us up with Kenny Browning. Kenny was with the firm Bushkin Gaines, Henry Bushkin, Johnny Carson's lawyer.
Carson, of course, yeah.
He was a young lawyer. We went in, we sat there till 4 a.m. negotiating this, and the strike was over.
That's a great story.
However,
it really is a
I
great
want
story.
to add to this. All over America, comedy clubs are opening up, and they weren't paying hardly any money at all. They'd tell you, come here in Denver and work for all week for $100, and we'll feed you and fly you in, but you get $100. I say, I don't work that cheap. They say, you work free at the Comedy Store. Come here and work here. We'll at least give you $100. Now, when this fell in line, when the Comedy Store was paying, well, then they all had to pay a little fairer wage.
Everybody had to pony up a little bit.
We got telegrams from England, from London, that all of a sudden they got paid. In New York, they weren't paying the New York comics either. After we won, the New York comics went to Silver Friedman, Bud Friedman's wife, and negotiated with her, and they paid without firing a shot. So the whole it changed comedy a lot, you know.
Well done. And thanks to the JCs.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, those. Whenever somebody would come up to me and say, thank you for comics getting paid, I said, no, thank those other comedians who walked that picket line who never got back on at the Comedy Store. You know?
Wow, right, because they burned their bridge.
Yeah.
All right. You had already done. You just talked about the Carsons and everything. I'm trying to think when Letterman got his guest hosting Carson. Was that a big deal? I would think that would be a bigger deal than
Was
coming
it a
through
big
the
deal?
curtain.
He only did I think he did 2 Tonight shows and he was hosting. I mean, and I went with him the very first night he hosted, you know.
Okay.
And you remember the show that followed him, Tom Snyder?
Of course, tomorrow's show. Yes.
I was standing in the wings before David walked out, and Johnny Carson was hosting the Oscars that night. So that's why Dave was subbing that night.
Oh.
And I feel this presence because, Tom Snyder was about 6'5".
6'6" or something, yeah.
I feel this. I turn around and look, and Snyder said to me, I knew him. He said, I want to see how the audience reacts when this no-name comes out.
God,
And a year later-
Tom always ate his foot.
A year later, David Letterman's show went on, and Tom Snyder went off the air.
took his time slot.
He took his time slot. But Dave later put Tom on, when he took the.
I always thought that was a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I know it didn't. He only did it a couple of years, but I thought that was a beautiful story how he brought Tom Snyder back.
And I'll tell you something else. David hosted the Tonight Show when we were on strike. So when David left the show that night, I was waiting for him. Fred DeCordova said, Dave, we're going to have a post meeting. He said, I can't do it. I got to walk the picket line. And he went over to the Comedy Store and walked the picket line with us.
Wow, I didn't realize that those two things were happening concurrently.
At the same time.
Whoa. All right, so it was obviously a big deal. What about, I guess, only a couple years later when he got his own show, the morning show?
Yeah.
Did you ever do that show? I can't
No,
remember if I saw you.
he
on
did it in New York, but I have to tell you, when the show ratings, first of all, you'd look at that show and say, this belongs at nighttime, not in the morning. And Brendan Tartikoff saw that, But
Thank God.
when they took him off the air, took Dave off the air, he was crushed.
Yeah.
He was absolutely crushed. He came back and we spent a lot of time together. And then I had to go he would jog with me in the morning. We'd talk, and he was really crushed. I think he thought it was over for him, that he had his shot, and that shot was done. And he didn't know that in the meantime, Brandon was going to try to work something out. But I had to go to Tahoe and do 2 weeks there in Lake Tahoe, and Dave went there with me. And we jogged every morning, and I'd go on stage. He'd be in the wings. He just needed a friend, and at that time, and I was there for him, because he would have done the same for me. I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with our friendship to this day.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. I think it's great. People being there for one another is what makes this world go around. So I love friendship.
Mm-hmm. If you're lucky, there was a friend I had who's gone now, but he would have jumped in front of a bullet for me. His name was Tommy Johnson. We grew up on the streets together. He would have jumped in front of a bullet for me, and I know that.
I believe it.
Yeah. And when I first went to Caesar's Palace, I brought in a couple guys from the old neighborhood. He was standing underneath the marquee after my opening night. We were all going to go walk the strip, walk out there, and he was gone. And I said, where the hell's TJ? I went back, and he's a tough kid who was in the 101st Airborne. Tough kid. He's standing in front of the marquee, and he's crying. I mean, tears are coming out. I said, TJ, what's wrong with you? He said, don't you get it, man? Don't you get it? If your name is up there, the whole neighborhood's up there. Everybody from back home is up there. He said, you don't get that, do you? And I said, no, but I was touched by that, touched by that.
The idea that you did it for us.
Well, that people vicariously live through. Sinatra fans vicariously live through Frank.
Hoboken and the
but
whole
sometimes people, by the way, as a comedian, people in the audience, when you walk out on stage, they sometimes feel like they're going out there with you. They want you to score. Not when you're known and they don't. By that time you're established. But when you're brand new, and I've seen women, when a woman go up on the stage back in the day when there were very few women stand-ups, they're pulling for you. I hope she's funny. Because they're nervous for you.
Right.
And if you go into the tank, they go into the tank right with you.
Wow.
A lot of times people put themselves in the comedian's place, especially when you're new.
Yeah, we all have that little empathic part of us. I
Yeah,
guess that's
yeah.
what reacts. Oh gosh. All right, so that makes perfect sense. But what about when things swing around and he gets the late night show? Is that good news for Team Dave and all the friends involved?
No doubt about it. Everybody knew Dave was, Johnny Carson was not a stand-up comedian. He was a game show host, but he could do a monologue. Dave Letterman's not a stand-up comedian. He's a broadcaster. Now, was he funny as a stand-up? I loved his act. I loved to watch him work, and especially I hoped he'd get a heckler because he'd destroy the heckler.
Oh.
I told Dave one time, I got in a fight behind the Westwood Comedy Store. A punk kid. It was a long story, but the guy was going to sucker punch me, and I knew it. We were going outside. We stepped outside, and I knew I could. I grew up on the streets.
That intuition again.
He was in front of me, and I knew he was going to turn and fire on me. When he did, I was set myself, and I decked him. But anyhow, Dave said to me, I can't believe next day. He said, I can't believe you actually doubled up your fist and you socked him.
Oh,
No.
he saw it. He was there for that.
They told him the next day.
Oh, okay.
They were all the comics. He said, I can't believe you actually doubled up your fist and you socked him. Now, in my neighborhood, nobody ever socked anybody. It was in a Batman and Robin comic.
Pow.
Yeah, sock pow. I said, Dave, he was going to sock me. He was going to sock me.
Yeah.
I said, but Dave, you're not physically tough, but you're intellectually tough. You would cut a guy to ribbons if he, and he was good at that.
Yeah.
He was intellectually a tough guy. You don't want to fool with him. So he could handle. So Dave, when he went on to the Late Show, we know that he was going to succeed because he had the morning show. He got a little bit out of his system. He knew now what he wanted to do, and it was perfect for late night. And
It was almost a development phase, is what it feels like, because the shows were very similar. It's just now that it had the right audience, it was thriving.
Absolutely, and he was real good at putting man on the street type of people on his show. Bud Melman and people like
so
that.
good.
Yeah, and
The everyday people were the best part.
and he wasn't a stand-up comedian. Jay Leno, when he had his show, Jay Leno would go on weekends to Las Vegas, go on corporate dates. Jay Leno never took a check from NBC. He put it all in the bank. He only lived off of his corporate events, which were paying $150,000 a night,
of course, sure.
or more. But David had offers to Atlantic City, to Vegas, and he would never take them. I'd say, you should go. He said, what am I going to do? I said, what are you going to do? Bring Paul Schaefer with you.
Yeah.
Bring the band. Bring a couple of the girl that you
Go
have
do
on
a
the
show, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, and then do your monologue. I said, But
Once he moved into that theater, he became a showman, so he certainly could have done that type of thing.
But he no more wanted to do stand up.
That what 10, 11, 12 years, whatever we talked about, that NBC period was what was so influential for me. That was when I found Letterman and comedy in general. I guess it was whatever age I was, and then that to me was sort of this heyday because I loved the development phase. I loved the let's figure this stuff out and have fun. Once we go to CBS, it became this like now it's a powerhouse. This is a real show. We got serious ratings. We got to produce. I mean, this is like a business now. What was that like for the friends and family who've watched this guy be one of us from the whole thing here? You were ahead of him getting on the Tonight Show, blah, blah, blah. You're all friends still. What's that like?
I'll tell you what it's like. When I'm going into New York and I go to Times Square, where I went when I was a kid, 17 years old, when I came out of boot camp. I was on my way to my first naval station, and I go through Times Square, and wow, Times Square. This is where the stars and now I go there, and there's a picture of my buddy Dave Letterman. Big is a building. David. This is the guy that drove the red pickup truck. It seemed like just yesterday. I was so proud. And so I said, wow, look at my guy, look at my buddy. He's up there. I was just so proud of him. Yeah, I'm not Jewish, but there's a Yiddish word, kvel.
Yeah.
You swell with pride. Is that the proper? You swell with pride. I kvelled when I saw him up there.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was really, really something. And then he takes over the Ed Sullivan Theater, that's where the Beatles, when they came, Beatles were Elvis. Was in the
Everybody.
same stage, yeah. That was really, I mean, it's like, it's hard to describe that when you're brand new at somebody and you're trying to figure out if you have enough money to go get a bowl of soup, and here's this guy now. He's this huge star.
That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
So everyone did recognize that, and obviously you're certainly happy for all the people you've helped along the way. But the fact that you were beaming, you could see it in Tom's face. Listeners, you could see it in Tom's face.
Well, I mean, that's what. In the end, it is. Somebody once said, a philosopher said, in the end, all you have are memories. Make some good ones. And I have some good memories. And especially for those who, Letterman should have given up, shouldn't he? When he was, knocked out of that morning show, he thought it was over. He thought it was back to Indianapolis, but he didn't give up. And he went back and dug in, and
Well, after 2 weeks in Tahoe to lick his wounds with his friend Tom Dreesen.
Like I said, he would have done the same for me. I'm a motivator. And I wanted him to, get this out of his system. At that time, he also broke up with Merrill Markle.
Oh,
so he was
God!
going through
So there's everything happening at once.
And I don't know. I've been through where I was so much in love with a girl, so much in love with her, and when it broke up, I didn't see it coming, and that emptiness, that emptiness that hits you, and that fear, that am I ever going to find something like this again? And I mean that, and all of that compounds with the show going off the air. This guy was going through a tough time,
It's an awful lot.
Yeah.
You talked about being grateful for some amazing moments. What are some of your most memorable moments from show business? I mean, between the Frank Sinatra stuff, your comedy stuff, the Carson stuff, I mean, I think of you as being one of the greats. So what was great for you about it?
A lot of the full circle things, the full circle things that it's hard to describe my childhood. If I really told you how poor we were, later on you'd say to the wife, I think he exaggerated a little bit, but my brothers and sisters and I know that's not so. I mean, to come from that poverty, where I was standing on a corner and selling newspapers, and years later I went back and they named that street after me. That was great in my life, and all the people, all the kids, the people that I grew up with were there, and that was a moment for me, it came full circle. I think I told you the story, but when I was a little boy selling newspapers on that corner, at one day, all the horns were blowing and people were coming out, thousands of people. And I'm going, what's going on? I asked one of the elders. They said, it's Lou Boudreau Day, Tom. I said, Lou Boudreau? He said, yeah, he's a baseball player. He plays for the Cleveland Indians. He's age 24, and he managed the Cleveland Indians, player-manager at age 24, to a pennant in the World Series. And he's from Harvey. Tom, he's from where we're from. He graduated from high school. I said, wow. So I sold all my newspapers in the corner of 155th Street in Harvey. He came out of the Elks Club, and all the people were cheering him and everything, and he took off in a parade, and people were following him. And my dad never owned a car, so we couldn't be in a parade. So I'm walking home that day with holes in my shoes, a little kid, and I'm thinking, wow, somebody from Harvey is famous, And I said, like little boys do, you fantasize. Maybe one day they'll have a parade for me, and I'm like a little boy. You're imagining all that. August 22nd, 1992, I went back to Harvey, Illinois, to that corner where I sold newspapers, where Lou Boudreau came out. The Elks Club, and they named that street after me. And the guy who introduced me to the crowd was Lou Boudreau.
Oh, come on!
Yep, he came back for that moment. So those full circle things. When I was shining shoes in all the bars.
Happy anniversary on that last one, by the way. Last week was 30 years on that Lou Boudreau Day or whatever your street naming. So
yeah, that's right.
Congratulations.
That's right. But anyhow, when I was shining shoes, that I would shine shoes in the neighborhood bars, and once in a while I would get on the IC and go downtown, because the Chicago theater, there were big like plays and stuff and movies where people would be out in front, and then they'd go inside, and then they'd come back out, live performance, everything. And if I shine shoes down there, I got bigger tips by the Chicago theater, and I saw, all the stars there. Years later, I fly into the Chicago Theater in 1983, and my name's on the marquee with Frank Sinatra, where I used to sign shoes. So you say those are the things that, watching the Tonight Show and one day being on the Tonight Show, sitting down with Johnny Carson,
Knowing Johnny Carson.
knowing Johnny, but also appearing on stage with Sammy Davis Jr. and appearing on stage with Dean Martin and appearing on stage with Frank Sinatra. These are people around the jukeboxes when I was shining shoes. Those full circle moments. I never cared about being a star. I just cared about having fun with this wonderful life that I was in. That when I got
Bless you and your perspective.
Well, there were hard times. There were a lot of hard times. My wife left me 3 times. She hated show business, and I don't blame her. She never married an entertainer. She married a working stiff, and she wanted a check every Friday. She'd take my kids and leave me and go by her sister. I went to a lot.
None of this is funny. It sounds like, I tell you, it sounds like my wife left me 3 times.
Yeah. I always say, what was her name again? Oh, yeah, Plaintiff.
Oh, jeez. Enough times. Oh. I don't know why he's laughing. I'm so happy you came back. Is there anything that we didn't cover that we should? I want to plug your date for sure. Saturday, 9/10. It's actually not this coming Saturday. It's the weekend after at the Belushi Performance Hall in Glen Ellen, Illinois. You're going to be doing the one-man show.
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
What's interesting about that? The promoter said to me, I want to sell tickets for $99 and then $70 and $50 or $30. I said, $99, please don't. He said, well, I want to do it a meet and greet. He said, I don't want people to pay that kind of money. He said, I said, by the way, that's way too much money for me. I'm reading in the marketplace. They all sold out.
Good for you.
All the $99.
Oh, bless
Now,
you, Tom. And they knew what they were doing.
But I found this out as strange. A lot of times when I was in my one-man show, they would say 65 and 45 and 35. The $65 tickets always went first. And I just always think, no, make it so everybody can come. I don't.
This is very interesting that you would bring this up right now. I hate to make 2 minutes about this about me, but we're doing a live show, a charity show next weekend at the Marconi Auto Museum, and it's sort of a similar thing. In fact, I think I told you about it, but you were going to be out of town for that.
Yeah.
It's sort of a similar thing where, because it's a charity event, all the ticket prices are through the roof. Like the cheapest one is $100 and something. And I wasn't comfortable with that because I was like, well, there's a lot of friends of ours that would love to come support us, but this is a little bit maybe. And it was sort of explained to us like, well, this one's a charity thing. If you want to go do a show for your friends to support, okay, good and fine. But I had the same, whatever you said about, I want everybody to be able to do it. Why?
Yeah.
Because it feels discriminative to have it be at a certain price point.
I
Is that
agree.
what you felt?
I totally agree. Yeah. But I had to
We're
go
cut
with
from the
the
same
promoter,
cloth. Yeah. These people know what they're doing in our situation.
I guess.
They know how to throw
I'm
events,
the worst
but-
businessman in the world. I give away. I've done so many dumb things in my life.
Who does
you know.
it sound like? Yeah, we're cut from the same
I
cloth
keep
for sure.
pointing at you, but you guys aren't the same like that.
I'm terrible.
Just a blind spot of all that.
And that's the business. If there's anything else that we should be talking about, I want to. But otherwise, follow Tom Dreesen Comic on Instagram. And it's just Tom Dreesen everywhere else, I think, right?
TomDreesen.com is my website, and then Tom Dreesen Comic is my Instagram and my Twitter. And I just got hacked on my Facebook. Oh man!
Oh,
just
crap.
yesterday.
So that wasn't you.
Yeah, they hacked my Facebook, and people are saying, "Why are you asking me to be your friend? I'm already your friend." And oh God, I hate this stuff. I hate this social media stuff.
Yeah. You'd rather go out and see people eyeball to eyeball.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But it's great being with you, and nice to see you both again. And as soon as you cut this off, I'm heading for the John.
Go for it. Hit it now.
Okay.
Yeah. The Tom Dreesen, everybody.
I've had the piece since 1987.
I love it. I love it. All right, so I've got some business here to deal with. Marconi Auto Museum, Cars and Comedy Show on 9/3. We are going to be there. Adam Ferrara is going to be there. Jan Karam's going to be there. Guido Cocomella is going to be there. Greg Grumberg's going to be there, and some more surprises as well. Buy your tickets at the Marconi Auto Museum.com or Marconi Museum on Instagram. You can click the link there. Also, follow the Letterman podcast and check out this special episode that came out today for the anniversary of The Late Show with David Letterman. Longtime writer Gerard Mulligan. Huge get for the mic man up there in Canada. Congratulations, sir. And thanks to you for everyone else, on behalf of everyone else, for putting out an episode on the anniversary instead of waiting until Friday. That was very nice of you.
it all worked out very, very well. I do have a question. Is Tom going to take off before he leaves, or is he?
Well, I don't know, but we're killing.
Is he gonna-
Let's just see how that happens. In the meantime, I've got other
Okay.
things to
Well,
do.
the reason I ask is because I was going to say a really nice thing about his Facebook. My mom turned 72 yesterday
Well-
or 2 days ago.
Do you want to wait for him, or do you want to do it?
Oh,
'Cause
if I
I'm
can
here.
wait
I'm
for
just
him,
doing
yeah,
some
okay,
business here,
even
and we
better.
can't interrupt the business,
Okay, sure.
unfortunately.
Sorry.
Tom Dreesen, you can see him at the Belushi Performance Hall, Glen Ellen, Illinois, Saturday, 9/10. Go to tomdreesen.com. Of course, you know that the Hello Deli is your only source for officially licensed Late Show with David Letterman merchandise, so get yourself over to the Hello-Deli and support the Letterman podcast by buying some Letterman gear. St. Clair Insurance, read card. They say all which separates men and boys is the coverage for their toys. What types of toys, Mrs. Ryan?
Anything.
That's right. Anything. Absolutely anything at all. Licensed in most states, St. Clair Insurance shops top provider, so you get the best coverage for your toys. Simply check them out by going to www.coverageforyourtoys.com. Coverageforyourtoys.com.
Coveredforyourtoys.com.
And Tom Dreesen's coming back in here, and Mike would like to pay you a compliment, I believe. Surprise.
Well, let me put my Comedy Gives Back hat on.
There we go.
This is a golf tournament they have every year for comedians, you know. What is it, Mike?
Hey, man. Great to see you again. I just love listening to you. I can listen to you all day, and I just appreciate you so much. I was going to thank you for this, but now I'm wondering if I've got to thank a criminal for this. My mom turned 72 the other day, and I put up on Facebook a little picture of my mom and I. And in the comments, there is Tom Dreesen saying, "Happy birthday, Bonnie. You raised a fine young man." Now, was that you doing that, or was that the hacker?
No, that was me.
Outstanding.
No.
That warmed my heart.
Well, you know, moms are special, aren't they? You know,
Yes,
and
sir.
for you to
Yes, sir,
honor
they
your
are.
mom or recognize your mom. There are so many good things about Facebook and stuff, but there's a lot of bad things about them. But that's one of the good things about them, you know.
Yeah.
That you can stand.
But good for
Originally-
you for doing that and staying on top of it. I mean, it's hard to do to keep on top of
Yeah,
everybody.
it really
So
is.
good for you.
Sometimes I'm up till 2:00 in the morning. I'm again answering questions like, "I met you in 1987, and weren't you wearing a red sweater?" You know, and I go, "I don't remember, but you know, I mean, but I answer, you know,
Good
if I
for
can,
you.
you know, yeah."
Good for you. Was there another thing, Mike, or was that it?
No, I just wanted to thank him for that and just thank him for being him. I love you,
Beautiful.
Tom.
Beautiful.
Good to see you again, Mike.
You too, man.
Keep up the good work.
You are done if you want to be. I'm just closing up shop here with some stuff, but I'm grateful to you so much for coming back.
Well, I'm
again.
happy to be here. I really am happy to be here, and I feel bad. I was just thinking. Several times I was thinking, we didn't talk much
Sorry.
with you, and I.
Let's
and
do
with-
that for a second.
Yeah, you know, tell me how you're doing. How's it going?
Not great.
Not great.
What would you like to know?
I'm sorry. What?
What do you want to know so I'm more focused?
Well, you know, I just, you know, like, do you have exercises you do every day? Do you have physical therapy as well as medications?
Do you mind if I jump in?
Go ahead.
We're back at, just because talking's easier for me. We're back in the process of. She took a little break from the Western medicine while she explored
Yeah.
some other things, and we're now back into the Western medicine where we're sort of redoing everything from scratch for the purposes of the insurance and the disability and all that stuff. So we're kind of back to square one when it comes to the diagnosis almost. It's been a while, so she needs to redo everything. So we've been going to neurologists, and you just set up some appointment with somebody else, got a bunch of MRIs. We're kind of going through everything again, and I'm hoping that we can answer that question or have better news for going forward in the next month or so.
When you get the results from these exams, yeah, you'll know.
Yeah,
more.
yeah, and continue to do more of them. It's kind of a, you got to see 20 different people, and we've only gone to
Yeah.
5 of them so far, that type of thing.
Yeah, MS is it's just the most. They know so much about it, and there's so much they don't know about it.
They don't
You
really know much at all,
They
it
don't
seems.
seem to know how to apply anything they do know. So it's like you can't tell anyone anything. Everyone thinks everything is so personal. It's like, I just want to walk. I don't care what you think you know.
Yeah, wow.
Everything's,
It's a process.
yeah.
I'll say it again, and I said it all the years for my sister Darlene, that as a little boy growing up, you're involved in sports, and you really want to, you look at champions, and you think of baseball players and football players and boxers and as champions. But after watching my sister Darlene and MS patients for all these years, they're the real champions. A champion is someone who does their best when things are at their worst. And you, as I told you before, you're a champion in my heart because you're doing your best and things are really tough on you. But a champion isn't somebody who hits a baseball out of a ballpark or who runs 80 yards for a touchdown. This is a champion. Every day that you try to do your best when things are at their worst. And I've known men with MS, and I've known women that get up every day and try to go support the family and try to do it with MS. And they're the champions of our society, and we don't honor them enough,
When you were talking before about get back up, do it again, do it. You're going to keep coming back. Every single day she has to get back up and do it again. So,
the only thing that I would, and I can't give you advice, but I said to Clint Eastwood one time, how in the world are you doing this? He's 91 now, going to be 92, but you're 88 and you're directing this and you're flying there and you're doing. I said, how do you do it? He said, I don't let the old man in.
ooh, what an answer.
He said, I don't let the old man in. And I would say to you, don't let MS in.
I repeat constantly, clear it out. Don't let I don't let myself feel pain. And that's hard, but because that's all there is. But I have to clear that out because otherwise that's all I'll feel.
No.
Not worth it.
I knew a boy named Dave, and he's still with us, that he would come to my runs every year when I was running 26 miles for multiple sclerosis. We called it 26 miles for Darlene. But he had MS, but he had a T-shirt that said, I have MS, but MS doesn't have me. Mm. And I took pictures with him because I love that. That's the same way that don't let the old man in. Okay, I have
So
MS,
tough.
but MS doesn't have me.
I've heard that. I talk to Darlene every day. I say hi, so thanks.
Say that again?
I talk to your sister every day.
Oh, do you really?
And just say hi. You take shit from everywhere.
Wow.
So that's your gift.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you almost made me cry there because she would have loved you. She was just such a wonderful, sweet human being who I always say, if Darlene's not in heaven, then there is no heaven. It just couldn't be, because she was just a sweet, kind person. Well, thank you so much, I went back home a while back, and her son got married, and he had a little girl, and he called her Summer Darlene, and she come running up to me. She was 5 years old one time. She just leaped in my arms, and she hugged me, and she said, tell me about my grandpa, please, or my grandma. Please tell me about my grandma. And it took me about 5 minutes to get myself in control to sit down and tell her, because it just choked me up, because she looks like my sister, so anyhow, but that's so nice of you. I appreciate that. Keep talking to her, because she's there.
I know.
I appreciate that. Anyhow, we didn't want to get little, but
I love it. This make you laugh, make you cry.
Yeah.
And an hour and a half, like you said. All right, real quick, East Coast Feed, everybody, and you can leave anytime you want. You have done your time. We are so
Good.
grateful.
I'm heading out of here because I've got to meet somebody for dinner.
Good.
Okay.
Enjoy. I love you, Tom Dreesen. No, they're mine, but people have taken them before, so.
Thank you so much. It's good to be with you both again.
you.
And old, what's his name with the red beard there? Who is that? Good to see you, Mike. Take care, Mike.
Good to see you always,
Thank you, Tom Dreesen.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Good to
thank
see
you,
you.
thank you.
Bye, anybody.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You're the best. Woo! Tom Dreesen, everybody. That was very, very cool. And now
Someone
I'll
in the
bring-
chat just went a legend early on.
And then I'll bring
a
producer Mike
legend.
in here, so we're all in here for the rest. Oh, and then I missed some of this. Fangpin says, hey, it's not the same thing. So Brad Felt says, hi, guys. And Chance H. I'm friends with one of Andy's college friends, Bert DeBrow. He has a lot of wonderful early Andy stories. Wonderful. I love it. Sorry I didn't get to that earlier, Chance. That was probably an hour and a half ago. Huge thanks to...
Ren Street Podcast said hi to Jay and Nicole.
Who does?
Ren Street Podcast.
Very cool. Hi to Scott Kelly, then, in that case. He's the Ren Street Podcast. Okay, and then the last bit of business was Series 1 Films. Read card. Series 1 Films is more than just films. They can set you up with effective marketing solutions like press releases on major news sites. They can scale your rank on Google, and they can produce cinematic content for your automotive brands. Check that, or your business. Automotive brand or business. That's right. My thumb was covering the business, as it so often does. Series1films.com can be checked out by visiting Series1films.com. Series1films.com.
Series1films.com.
And as our choreographer up in Canada will show you, that the one is indeed a number one. we are getting a show here put together for you. Did you get the feeling, producer Mike, that Tom might have been just a tad bit uncomfortable as I was explaining how's the weather?
Yeah, he didn't know where that was going to go. Well, before he did my podcast, he called up Dave to make sure it was okay. So I think
you're right.
There's an honor and respect there, and I think he just wasn't sure if that honor and respect was fine. But I mean, obviously, how's the weather is fine. He just didn't know.
I hope that I hope that if somebody like a Dave were to ever see this show, that they wouldn't take my little. I wanted to find out what it was like for the friends to go through the milestones. I hope that wasn't too much of a tribute here on our anniversary show. 29 years old, this desk and chairs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that something?
That's pretty crazy.
Held up pretty good, considering they started graffitiing it and defacing it the very first night.
That's pretty good.
Let me remind you. There we go. Yeah. Love that picture. Oh, that's hilarious. Good stuff.
Great
okay.
stuff.
Did I do all this stuff? Oh, East Coast Feed. We got to do that real quick. East Coast Feed. Roll it how?
East Coast Feed. Jonesy, tell Uncle Jay and Nicole, where are we? At the Mets game. What happened that was so special just now? What happened? Where were we? On the big screen, right, Brooke? We did a couples challenge and we were on the big screen and we won prizes. We got a bag. And a t-shirt. You got a t-shirt, right? That's how we do. East Coast Feed coming to you from the Coke Corner here at City Field. There we go. Say goodbye to Uncle Jane and Nicole. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye, guys. All right. Good stuff. Nailed it. All right. I'm with Tom Dreesen. I have to pee real bad, too. So unless you two want to chat real quick while I pee, I think we should wrap this thing up. Or maybe you guys could say hello. I think Mike wants to say hello to you anyway, so I'm going to do that.
I'll say hi to Mike
Hi.
and say, because I won't ever again, I apparently moved into my dorm 25 years ago. So that's my anniversary. Nod. What
Were
are
you playing
doing
hockey
up
at the
there?
time?
No, I swam then. I played hockey soon after.
He played hockey soon after. Hey, I'm really glad to see you, buddy.
Thanks. What's going on up there?
Well, first off, before I gotta just say, you say hi to Darlene every day. Kicked me right in the gut when you said that. Oh my God, that's a very, very sweet little thing to add to your mantra or the things that you do. What a thing to say.
He was so nice when he talked about it last time, and so I think of him every day. Everyone needs something, and I'm not a religious person. I tend to be more spiritual, which is really open-ended and requires a lot of personal focus and reining in discipline. So I'd like to think of her.
Yeah.
It's a nice source of strength.
Oh man, it just crumbled me when you said that. It was so beautiful.
I'm glad you could feel it up there because it punched him in the face.
I
He
had
was like,
no
say that
idea.
again? He's like, say what you just said.
Yeah.
It was great. I hope, yeah. I mean, I love that he's such a wonderful, sensitive guy that it's okay.
Yeah.
I love that man. I think I was too
Uncle
nervous
Tom.
to enjoy it last time, and this time he just came in as a friend. What a generous, giving man.
Yep.
Great.
Putting out the GVBC stuff, of course, because Dual Shift is the place to get it. David's back from summer vacation. He got his van again, and I don't know, his VW camper. I might have the wrong term for the one, but he went out with the family. They had a great trip, and he came back, and thanks to the help of some very, very generous friends of ours in the car community. I don't know if they want to be named or not, but I'm going to say Ian and Kurt. I know both of you. Neither one of you likes attention or credit, but thanks to those guys, GuardsRad 77 is back on the road. Engine in the car running after 3 years of an engine rebuild, car back on the road. Congratulations to GuardsRad.
Looks great.
Huge, huge, huge congratulations. I can't even imagine what he's feeling, other than I'm sure he's happy about it. So if you want to support him and his company, Dual Shift, grab yourself a GBB CT or a 111T and support your friends at the GBBC and a little bit to us as well. Eventually to the Autoimmunity Foundation. So
Yeah.
good stuff. And the hats are very comfortable. The dad hat. They also have a trucker hat that's very cool, although that may be out of stock. It's hard to tell. But they're working on everything. Working on more stuff too. Longest show ever.
Stephen Mills Designs say hi as well
Hi, Stephen Mills Designs. I believe
from
he's
NYC.
I believe he's a talented photographer. I believe. So this is really just for you, Mike. Should we do viewer mail now, or should we do it on Thursday? I feel like we've got 3 guests on Thursday. Like, I don't know that we should cram anything else in there.
Might be no.
Should we get a viewer mail out of the way?
Yeah, let's just get. It's really just one thing because you know where I was over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd come up with some new stuff here. Now you know about this, but he gave me some more stuff to go with this. So I got these. You got your run-of-the-mill ecto goggles, okay? And then you get yourself a ghost trap over here. Now this isn't the fancy Mattel trap that we were talking about, but I am awfully excited about it because, whoa, look at it roll. But okay, you ready for this? You probably already know about this, but I didn't. Ready? Well, here, maybe I'll do it this way. Oh, maybe I'll do it like this. What? You can't. You push the button and the trap opens, but there's green lights in there and it makes all the noises.
It's so good.
It's awesome. Grown men and their little toys. So Sean made sure that I didn't leave the shop without getting full geared up. Now we also put together a bigger pile of Proton pack parts for my pack that we'll be building. And here, let me put all this on so we get it all going here. Make sure all the lights work. Yep. There we go. There we go. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. A little early. See now, the other one was silent. This one vibrates and makes noise the whole time. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the secret. We got it. Anyway, thanks to Sean
I love that
Bishop.
there's a Ghostbusters segment while we're wishing Dave a happy anniversary, and the first guest was Bill Murray.
Oh, look at you, buddy. Well done, sir. And I can tell you a couple. I guess I can't. Shit. Almost. Thursday we'll be making some announcements. I bet Thursday. But stay tuned. Oh, jeez. Trying to turn the trap off, but somehow I set the whatever. Did I do it? Did we do it all? Are we good? We went very long, but Tom Dreesen.
We're very
again.
good.
Tom
beyond
Dreesen,
good.
come back for a half a bow. Joking. He's gone. Long gone. Marconi Museum on 9/3. I'm going to say it one more time tonight and many times on Thursday. Marconi on 9/3. It's a charity event. It is benefiting the Marconi Automotive Museum and Charity for Kids, and it is benefiting us, the Autoimmunity Foundation. Autoimmunity Foundation. Well, we would have loved to have had a website up before this event, however, we hadn't. But in case you are not familiar with the Autoimmunity Foundation, it's us. And it will get bigger in time. And we have some very grand plans and ideas currently that it looks like all will come to fruition in time. Oh, that's the one thing we didn't talk about today when we were on the phone. There was one more thing. Remember, there was one more thing.
Yeah.
There was one more thing. Anyway,
Okay.
But driving awareness about autoimmunity through love and community. We do the Good Vibes Breakfast Club. We do this show here, and the Autoimmunity Foundation pays for all of it. So this show and all of it are made possible by viewers like you. So thank you for considering to come out to see us on 9/3, the comedians in the show are going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the $60 million car collection does not suck.
Nope.
And if you want to see the screen-used #1 hero Knight Rider kit from the series, used from the pilot on till the very last, this is the only place to see it. If you want to see the Keaton Batmobile, the hero one, it's just the only place to see it. If you want to see us on Saturday, 9/3, in the evening between 6 o'clock and 10, this is the only place you can see us. That's where we'll be. So please do come out and join us and have some fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It will not be your typical fundraiser. It will not be your typical comedy show. We don't do anything typical. It's just going to be a lot of interactive fun. Still working on the confetti cannon. Haven't been able to find one. Let's see. Viewer mail. You saw the Ghostbusters. How the weather? Is it true? We did it. Yeah, I think he was more worried about Barbara Gaines not getting the joke and then thinking that we were saying that somebody kicked Dave's ass and like trying to instigate something. I think he knows us well enough, but it looked like for a moment there was
uncertainty to say the
what
least.
What are you guys doing? That's it. Is there anything else from you? I know we got the Gerard Mulligan episode up currently. What about Friday?
Steve Young came out on Friday last week, and a massive acclaim on that one. And then Gerard went up today or late last night.
Shout out to Don Giller. We went an hour and 40 minutes without saying Don Giller.
Oh, God, good catch. Always give our tribute to the Dons. Talk about kissing the ring. The Dons.
You're getting better at this. You're getting funnier
Thank you,
too.
sir. Vinny Favlali comes out on Friday.
Oh, that's a good one.
So that's going to be a really cool one. And
Debbie?
then Steve Young and I went
Love you,
marathon 2 hours today and talked about Bathtubs Over Broadway. And if anybody hasn't seen Bathtubs Over Broadway, go see it. It is go get that doc. It's so good.
We're going to watch it tonight. I bought it on the Apple TV while we were having our phone call earlier to support
Nice.
Steve Young. It's only $14.95 or $14.99, whatever it is on Apple TV. Go buy it. Support Steve Young. Bathtubs Over
Worth
Broadway.
every penny.
I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think somehow this escaped me because we talked about it. I thought it was the play that Vinny did. Somehow I got them confused.
yeah. No,
'Cause
you're
he
in
did a
for
play
you're in for a great treat.
All right. With Thayer I don't remember who, Thayer Jester or something. All right, but we did all this stuff. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited to hear the Spaceball stories. All the Man on the Moon stuff was great. All the Andy Kaufman stuff, killer.
Stuff was great.
I know you were probably sitting on that one because he's a big Andy Kaufman fan and wrestling fan, the whole thing. Yeah. That was, all right, so that's how I was 29 years ago tonight watching the Letterman show premiere on CBS. So happy anniversary to everyone involved in Dave Co. Dave Co. Sounds like Biff Co. Dave's Pleasure Paradise. Dave and Company. Sorry, Back to the Future there for anybody who has no idea what I was talking about. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday too, hopefully. Thank you to Tom Dreesen. Thank you to producer Mike up there in Canada. Follow the Letterman podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you to you, Nicole, for telling your story and wearing your Michigan shirt today. It's not Letterman related, but it also kind of is because there was that famous picture of Dave in the Michigan shirt, and then obviously your friend from Camp Dave went there.
Yeah. Bring the energy around. I
Good for
wear
you.
my socks too.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's the show that never ends. I can't seem to say goodbye tonight. But let's see. Thursday, we're back here with Adam Ferrara from Top Gear, Nurse Betty. Not Nurse Betty. Nurse Jackie. Close. Sorry. Rescue Me and just being one of the funniest stand-ups out there. Adam Ferrara will be here to plug the 9/3 date at the Marconi with the Marconis will be here. John Marconi, you would know from a racing history. He's won a lot of awards or races, whatever you win when you race. Good job finishing the circle. We got you this award. Oh, my God. And next week, we're back with Fireball Tim, voiceover actor Rob Paulson, and Christian James Hand on Thursday. So we are stacked with guests.
Nice.
I haven't even had a chance to book this month, and we're already like 6 guests in on 4 dates. We love everybody. I love you. been a crazy one. I won't even tell you what we all went through, but there was an episode this weekend, a medical episode that we both witnessed and we got through. And I'm just happy that she's here. I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy you're here. And I'm happy we're all doing this together. So please love one another. And I mean that more than ever, because none of us get out of this thing alive. So let's do it together. Have a great night. Thank you very much for watching. Tom Snyder is next. Good night, everybody.